Thank you very much for making time and joining us at this hour. We are waiting for the announcement in Afghanistan by the Taliban. They're forming a new government today, and our correspondents are standing by live. We have Mallick in Kabul, and we also have Sidhant Sibal in New Delhi. We'll get back to them in a short while. But it is a big day in Kabul. Amid many uncertainties, the Taliban is all set to unveil a new formation of the Afghan government. Now, the group, which was declared a terror outfit by the United Nations, will now have to transform into a governing power. Reports suggest that the announcement will come after the Friday prayers. Taliban has promised a softer brand of rule than before. Whether it will follow through or not, that will have to be seen. The international community has adopted the wait and watch rule as it mulls over recognizing the Taliban. Visuals on your screen show piles of black and white Taliban flags in a room. These images were uploaded by Ahmadullah Mutaki, the chief of the multimedia branch for the Cultural Commission, Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan. He has said that the country's Ministry of Information and Culture has made arrangements for ceremonies at the presidential palace. The announcement is set to lay out key appointments amid rising political uncertainty. Well, for more on this, our correspondent Mallick joins us live from Kabul. Thank you very much for joining us, Mallick. Let me just ask you, what is the situation currently in Kabul?
Well, today is a Friday and 18th or 19th day since the Taliban take over. 5th day since the Taliban have absolute control over the capital city of Kabul. And today, given that it's a Friday, it's a day off. We're seeing that there's not much traffic on the roads because, as I said, Friday is usually considered as a weekend in the city of Kabul. But there are increased speculations of a likely announcement of the government by the Afghan Taliban today. It can possibly happen sometime after the Friday prayers, though there is no official confirmation on that. Multiple Taliban sources have been telling me that the confirmation or the finalization is currently ongoing. That is ongoing in Kandahar, and we're seeing that the Afghan Taliban's leadership is also in Kandahar as well. That includes their spokesperson Zabiullah Mujahid, Mullah Abdul Ghani brother, Sirajuddin Haqqani, and others as well. Prominent figures, key figures from the Afghan Taliban have been huddled in Kandahar, which is the historical capital of the Afghan Taliban. And there are increased speculations, though there are other sources as well who are indicating that this announcement can possibly be delayed sometime until next week, mid next week, because there is some sort of disagreement or not so with regards to some ministries being given out to individuals. But one thing that is for sure, that this is likely to be a supra council sort of a format which would be headed by the Taliban Amir Mullah himself. Eric?
If this government will be formed sometime today or in the next coming week, women's rights is still an issue. Most are skeptical about inclusion of women in the new government. What do you think is likely to happen?
There's a lot of skepticism with regards to this government as well, and going forward, primarily because the statements that have been saying for them to transpire into actions on ground, that would be taken with a pinch of salt. There is a lot of curiosity, there's a lot of uneasy calm within the city. There's a lot of anxiety and panic within the people as to how this model or this government formations structure would be, who would be who. We understand that there would be nobody from the previous government. This is what multiple Taliban sources have been telling us. So the model of inclusivity that would take a bigger hit on that. Additionally, with regards to women's participation in this much anticipated anticipated setup of the Afghan Taliban. We understand that there would be no women at the top for the fact that the Taliban say that they are going to assess, but that would also be a bigger hit for the Taliban, given that they would want to seek international legitimacy as and when they have formed the government. There are crises that are there. The country is facing a cash crunch as we speak. Borders are closed. There is an IDP crisis, if not a refugee crisis. We saw thousands and thousands of people trying to flee the country in fear. So, by and large, there are apprehensions. There's a lot of skepticism. But these can only be cleared as and when the government formation comes in, as and when the government formation happens. And for now, there is no clarity on that. However, there are increased speculations from those from within the Taliban sources that yes, we can see some announcement today, sometime after the Friday prayers at the Pul-e Khushti Mosque. That is the oldest mosque in the capital city of Kabul. Eric?
You have mentioned this. There was a mad rush by some Afghans to withdraw cash from banks. Western Union and MoneyGram are believed to have said they will be resuming money transfers. What is the situation currently?
Well, the situation is pretty grim. We've seen a blanket restriction being imposed by the new Taliban governor for the state bank, the Afghanistan bank, which said that one person can take up to $200 or 20,000 Afghanis per week. That is only one transaction per person. So that has led to long queues outside the bank. People have been complaining that the country is currently short on cash. There is a cash crunch. We've seen the prices of commodities being going up as well. But with the borders being closed, trade also almost being second to none. Therefore, whatever that is there, it is being stocked up as well. I've been speaking to desperate people who've been literally selling gold and cashing euros and cashing dollars to Afghanis so that they can run their daily affairs. It is, as I said, it is a very grim situation on ground. The Taliban say or claim that they will be taking control of the situation as and when the government formation comes in. But then there are other crises at hand that they have to deal with. For instance, with regards to currency, which currency would be acceptable given that the status of the country is still unknown. The Taliban say that it is an Islamic Emirat, whereas to the world community it is still Islamic Republic. So will the currency notes of Islamic Republic be acceptable in Islamic Emirat? We understand that that Afghanistan does not print its own currency notes. They're printed in Poland and in Norway. Who would be placing the orders? Who would be making the payments? So lots of question marks over there, and they can be only cleared as and when the government is formed. Eric?
All right, my final question to you, Mallick, is as and when the formation of the Taliban government is formed, what do you foresee as the future of Afghanistan?
Well, as and when the government formation is done, we would see that the country would be plunging into some sort of calm, at least prima facie. That was what the semblance of the Taliban would want to give. Though there would be this anxiety or uneasiness that would continue to prevail. As I said, the Taliban have been making some statements. Those might look progressive, but for them to transpire on actions on ground, that would be 20 days or 18 days is a bit too early to assess, and the international community would be closely watching out. The Taliban would want to seek international legitimacy as soon as possible, but international legitimacy comes with a caveat as well, and that caveat is the fact that they would have to have an inclusive government. The inclusive government model is, at least for now, what Taliban sources have been telling me, is not being talked about. The only inclusivity is being looked at is to include Talibs in the government, those who are Hazaras, those who might be Shias, those who might be Tajiks, those who might be Uzbeks. So that is the inclusivity that is being talked about, but that is not in accordance with what the international community's expectations would be. So the immediate crisis would be once as and when the government is formed. If it happens today, if it happens 4 days later or 5 days later, would be to seek that international legitimacy to get the country back on track, to attract foreign investments, and that would take some time. Eric?
Amidst Mallick, live from Kabul. Thank you very much for talking to us.